Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Dolls with Karen. We're back with Priscilla on the table and she has had a bake and she's looking pretty good. We're going to move on to the next color, and this color is the step where we want to get everything right on the doll before we bake her. We want to check the nails and the lips and everything. If we want to crease her, we're going to crease her now. Well, after we put the paint on and dry it with the heat gun a little bit. Because after this bake, after this color goes on, we only have one more color. So when I put the reddish blush on her, I want her to be completely okay in all other areas. I don't want to have to go back and go, oh, wait a minute, I have to touch up the nails. I don't want to do that. We're going to get them all in one bake. Anyway, we're going to put 1 to 2 layers of this on, depending on how dark it is on her skin. And we're going to just dry it a little bit in between and see how she looks. And if I think she needs a little more, I'll just put a little bit more on her. I want her to be a little bit darker than normal. I don't like pale babies. I'd like them to be a little bit darker. And I'm using a sponge that I used another color on before because it's so similar to this color that I didn't want to tear a new sponge. I'm just lazy, I guess. But anyway, I got a tip from a viewer. I wanted to tell y'all about it. It was about making biracial and African American dolls. And she said, way back in the day, now this is before my time for sure. I mean, not my time being alive, but my time making dolls. They used to use Rit dye to dye the dolls because they didn't have special paint that was made for dolls, you know. And she said when she wants to make a dark-skinned baby, she just gets some. Well, Rit has got some dye that's not just for clothes anymore, for fabrics. You can dye other things with it too, and including some plastics. And according to the internet, vinyl is a form of plastic. I know before in a video I mentioned that I thought it might have some rubber in it, but there's no rubber in it. It's just a kind of plastic. It's a different kind of plastic than what we're used to looking at as plastic. It almost has a rubbery feel, but it is a form of plastic. So it will dye plastic, and so we can, like, this is what she said she did. Your water has to be really, really hot, like it's almost about to boil. Not boiling, but almost about to break into a heavy boil. It's just got the bubbles coming up, you know, and it's, you know that any minute it's going to break into a boil. And then you add your Rit dye to it, and then you dip the doll for, I think she said 40 seconds in the dye, and immediately take it out and rinse it off, and you do it over and over again until you get the color that you want the doll to be. Well, it's a base pretty much. You're still going to add blush and stuff to it, but it's going to be like the instead of putting the dark paint on them, you just dye them that way, and then that's their foundation color. And then you add everything else you want to the doll, and you put your other layers on, you know, your blushes and stuff. And she said it turns out really, really well. The color is phenomenally good, she said. So I'm going to try it on a doll. I'm going to get me a bottle of Rit dye, and it's called Rit dye more. It means you can dye more things than just fabric with it. It's not the regular Rit dye, the original that you just dye cloth with. It's not that one. And it sort of stains the vinyl to the color that you're trying to get. And she said chocolate brown was the color to get. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to get me a chocolate brown, and I'm going to try a doll in it. I'm going to see how it works out. And if it works out, I'm going to be making me some little biracial and African American babies. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but I just can't seem to be successful at it. So this will be my opening of the door, I guess, to try something new. And it's a messy, messy procedure, she said, but I'm willing to go through it if I can get my doll the color I want it. And I'm not going to show it online. I'll show you the results after I've dipped the doll, but all you do, she says, just dip it right down into it and take it out and rinse it off immediately. And if you don't like the color, you dip it again if it's not dark enough, you know. She said she just keeps doing it over and over again for about 40 seconds each time, and then when it comes out, she rinses it off and checks it again to see if it's the color she wants. And I thought that was pretty good, a pretty good tip. I'm going to try it just on one doll first and see how it works. And if it works out, I might do some more dolls. if I can actually make a pretty baby out of it, I think I'll be able to. I just have to choose some dolls and dip them, and hopefully no snafus, You never know until you try something, though. It might be so messy, I don't want to do it again. I don't know yet. It's just a tip. And with tips, I kind of scrutinize them in my mind for a little while, and then I decide if I want to try them or not. If they sound feasible that they could work. And she sounded very positive that she thought it was going to work really well, so I'm going to try it. I mean, it's just one kit. If it doesn't turn out, okay, well, it just didn't turn out. But I think it will, because she said she does it all the time, and it turns out really well. So we're going to see. That's all I can say. I don't know if you have to bake it. I intend to ask her more questions, but I don't know if you have to bake it after you bring it out. After you get it out of the dye and rinse it off and everything. It's going to be really wet. You probably have to let it dry a little bit, and then you probably have to bake it. I don't really know if you have to bake it, but I intend to ask her, does she have to bake after the dipping before you start putting other paints on it? Do you need to dip it? I mean, bake it or seal it or anything. Is there anything else you need to do to it before you start with the other colors you're going to put on the doll? Because I just really don't know. I've never done that before, but I intend to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm always ready to branch out and do something different. If I can branch out into making all different ethnicities of dolls, that would be really great. And it gives you a lot of leeway to make, more different types of dolls, and that's what I want to do. I want to make dolls that interest all kinds of people instead of just certain groups of people. She said it was a very smooth finish and it looked really good, and I just am excited to try it. As soon as my check hits the bank and I can order some things, I'm going to order some things. I'm pretty broke right now, but my check hits the bank in a couple days and I'm going to get that Rit dye. I don't know how many dolls you could dye with one bottle of Rit dye. I intend to not be wasting it and throwing it out or anything. I'm assuming you go just by the instructions on the bottle and all that stuff, like you put so much water and so much Rit dye. I just don't know how much. I have to look at the bottle, but I plan to do it, and if it's working out and I like the color of the doll, I might dip another doll too, because like I said, I don't want to waste all that Rit dye, and every time you want to do an ethnic baby, you have to go buy another bottle of Rit dye. I'll just dip 2 or 3 dolls at one time, and then I'll just let them dry on the drying rack, and when they're dry, I can put them back in a bag and let them sit until I'm ready to paint them. I guess. I don't know. I just intend to ask her more questions before I start, just to be sure about what I'm doing. Anyway, it's something new. I get tired of the same old, and never being able to achieve a certain thing I want to achieve. And getting tips from each other is part of why we do the things that we do, so we can learn and grow and help other people learn and grow. It's a trade-off. I help other people help me. And it's just nice to have a little community of people that want to help each other. I just love to share my craft with other people. One of the reasons I started recording and making videos was, well, I had several reasons, but one of them is that a lot of people think they can't do it. They think it's so hard that they can't do it. And I actually thought that too. Even when I was starting to paint and stuff, I got really, really frustrated. My first few dolls were kind of not all that good, and I just got very, very frustrated. And I have a feeling that other artists are very frustrated also. And they need to know that, for heaven's sakes, if this is an absolutely true statement, if I can do it, pretty much anybody in the world can do it, because I am not a crafty person, and I've just never had any crafty abilities really, and I know my sister would tell you different because I sew. You don't have to be crafty to sew. You just have to follow instructions. And it's not that crafty. It's like if you're going to sit down and like mold a doll, maybe that would make you crafty. But I wouldn't even attempt that. But a lot of people do. They do the clay molding of the doll first and smooth it out and make it real pretty, and then they somehow cast something over it to make a mold. They cast a mold, and then that mold can be filled with vinyl and can make an actual baby head or something, you know. But that would be crafty, I think. Or if you painted on a canvas, you're very artistic or crafty or something. But just sponging a sponge up and down on a doll and picking a few places to put enhancements, I don't think that really makes you crafty. And I don't know, it's just the way I feel about it. I don't know. I feel like it's just, you know, it's just it is considered a craft, an art, a form of art, but you don't have to be super artistic to do it. You don't have to use your imagination or anything like that. You know, crafty, artistic people have very vivid imaginations on what they want to do in their craft. Like if you are molding clay, or you're sculpting, or you're painting freestyle, you're not doing a color by number or something. That's what probably, if I painted, that's probably what I do, is a color by number, because I'm just not, I can't draw worth a fiddly foo, and I'm not crafty. And so I wanted everybody to know that this is something you can do. You absolutely can do it, and I can show you a way to do it. Everybody has different ways of doing it, and my way is just a way. There are bunches of ways you can reborn dolls, and I wanted to show people a way that was very straightforward and easy, and they could start out with my way. They can keep on doing it if they want to, build on it if they want to, change something if they want to, and do pretty much whatever you want to. That's the whole idea behind having a hobby that's yours. If you go, yeah, that's a good way to do it, but I think this would be better, you just do that. And but you know, everybody needs a starting point, and it needs to be fairly simple and easy to follow, and not confusing, and not have to be, you know, a lot of super mixing of paint and all that stuff, because you're just a new artist and you're trying to make a pretty doll. That's all you really want to do. And you know, by following my method, at least as a beginner, you can learn to make a pretty doll before you start branching out onto new and different ideas that you want to do. And that was another reason I wanted to show people a simpler way. I tried to follow some of those other ways, and I found them very, very difficult to follow. So my way is just simplified, straightforward. You hardly ever have to mix make any colors. You do have to mix your paint still. I'm not talking about making a jar of paint. I'm talking about mixing a whole color that you don't even have. I buy the pre-mixed colors, and they're just, to me, I think they're fabulous. They make beautiful dolls, and some people mix their own, and that's perfectly fine too. But why mix blush if they make a blush already? I mean, come on. Some of the companies have several different colors of blush. They have like a strawberry blush, and a wine blush, and a peaches and cream blush, and you can pick whatever shade of blush you want even. And no need to make your own color of blush unless you just really, really want to. Some people do it, but I don't. I don't spend my time doing that. I'd rather spend my time making my doll pretty instead of trying to mix the perfect color. I just can't do that. I'm not any good at it, and I'm the first to admit it. I'm not any good at that. Now that's crafty, trying to mix that color perfect every time. Okay, She looks pretty dark to me. I don't know. She's going to get a little lighter when she dries, but I like the color she is. So I'm going to hit her with this heat gun a little bit and see, can't I get her a little more dry so that we can actually tell what shade of color she's going to be when she's dry. She may lighten a little more when she bakes, but dry is pretty much almost the right color anyway. So here we go. We're just going to dry her up a little. And you don't have to do this for any super long period of time. Just until the shininess in her skin color goes away. They look a little shiny when they're wet. And as they dry, they get more matte colored, and then you know they're dry. Plus they're lighter. They get lighter as they dry too. I think her lips look really good. I think being really careful on the lips really pays off. I know a lot of people, they just swipe the lips, and that's fine too if that's what you like, but I'm really, really careful on the lips because I want them to look really, really good. I don't really want them to have color, lip color outside of the lips. I'm always thinking if I hold this part over these arms and legs, some of the heat that's bypassing this doll will get on the arms and legs and help them dry a little faster too. I'm not sure if that works, but we're doing it. One thing you need to do is remember to hold your gun back from the doll a little bit. You don't want it right up against the head. You want it back about like this because it's very hot. And keeping your fingers on the doll, see, she's hot now. She's not deep down hot though, because you know, when they bake in the oven, the vinyl even on the inside of the head will be hot. But I have a feeling this is only very shallow heat. And it's going to cool off very, very quickly. Unlike baking, you have to wait, I don't know, 10 minutes for it to cool off. We'll move on. She's not completely dry, but she'll probably dry on her own now. Work on these legs a little bit. They almost look dry, but they do have a little bit of shininess to them in some areas. This would be the step where if you want a baby blemish or something, you do it on this step too. Like a scratch or a birthmark or whatever. You pretty much do it on this step. After you've dried this paint pretty good, you would move on to the birthmark, whatever thing you're putting on them, or the scratch or the baby acne or whatever it is you're putting on them. I don't know, maybe the milk spots would need to be after because they could actually turn red if you put blush over the top of them. But something like a scratch is already red, so it doesn't matter. You don't want to put the same birthmark on, the same mark on every baby though, because it starts to look like all your babies are carbon copies of each other. And when people are scrolling through your dolls, you're going to like your doll for one thing or another thing. But if every doll has the same mark, they're going to get tired of that. And they're going to say, not another baby scratch, you know. Why didn't you put something else on? So just keep that in mind when you're deciding that you want to do some sort of a mark on your doll. She had a little bit of rashy look on the side of her arm. that's about as dry as I can get her with a heat gun without taking forever to do it. She's 99% dry, I think. And I don't think I'm going to put another coat on her because she's, at least her head is darker than her limbs, I think. And it's dark enough, I think. But what I do want to try to give her some sort of a something. I don't know if I want to do a birthmark. Or I tried a birthmark before and it just, I was unsuccessful. I don't know any other way to put it except that it just didn't turn out the way I thought it would. It just did not look right. And I didn't like it. So I didn't try another birthmark. But babies can even have moles or anything like that. My favorite one is a scratch. But like I said, you don't want to do it to every baby. It just starts to be mundane, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And people start to go, okay, every one of her dolls has a scratch. I don't want all my dolls having a scratch, you know. But I'm going to try to color inside of her nose a little bit with this purple. It's just not dark enough to me. And purple is very darkening. Be careful taking your lids off of your paint because it will get on your fingers, and everywhere you touch the doll then will have that color all over it. So you don't want that. And even though I shook it a little bit, I'm going to mix it a little bit too. I'm just going to kind of swirl it around in her nose and paint the sides a little bit. We just want a color that looks more natural and like it belongs on a baby's face or something. We don't need super dark or super anything. I just want it to be a different color than just her normal skin color. Every color that I've put on her, I've been putting up in her nose, but it just doesn't color the nose enough. But with that purple on it now, when I do put the blush on her, she will be already darker inside of her nose, so maybe it'll look a little bit darker. I always think inside the mouth and on the nose and stuff should be a little bit darker than their regular skin. And the tongue especially, I think. Okay, I'm going to touch up her lips and her nails for the last time. And after we do that, I'm going to bake her. And when she comes out, she'll only have one coat of paint left, and that's the regular blush. Most of the time, on most of my dolls, I only put one coat of the warm blush and one coat of the regular blush. But you're free to put however many you want. I can tell you if you put too much warm blush, they'll start to look a little bit orange. And you don't want that. 2 coats is not too many. It will darken her up, especially if you use kind of lightish color in your paint jars. And you should. The darker the paint, the more bumpy and rusty looking it looks and uneven and all that, because it just doesn't dry all that even. That's why we have to pounce it around a lot. And the darker it is, the more you need to pounce it around for real. But 2 coats of thin paint is always better than 1 coat of thick paint. That's my opinion. And it only counts for me. If you don't think that, you don't have to listen to me. But I think it because I have actually done it both ways. And I don't like it when it's too thick and globby and dark. That's why I'm unable to make darker skinned dolls, I guess. I feel like I have to go with darker paint because nothing's happening on the doll. They're not getting darker. And so you darken up your paint and you end up with a splotchy looking baby. That's why I'm excited to try this new way with the Rit dye. I'm excited. In the next day or 2, I'll be doing it. I'll be doing my first doll with it. Now that is some beautiful lips to me. I don't know what you think, but I like them. She's got pretty lips to begin with, so you want to make them really, really pretty when you paint them. She's not overly lined up in her lips. You know, some dolls have just an extreme amount of little lines in their lips. And that darker paint down inside of those crevices makes them look like they have chapped lips to me. Now, some people go for the dry look. They probably want chapped lips, but I don't go for that. I don't like that dried up look. I'm after a baby that doesn't look like it was freshly born today. I'm after one that's you know, already lost its umbilical cord. It's a little older. It's maybe 2 weeks old or something, you know. It's not so red anymore. It's not so mottled up. It's not so dry. It's none of those things. It's just a pretty baby. And most people want a pretty baby. They don't. There are people who want hyper realism. I'm not saying there's not people like that, because there are. But if I bought a doll that was hyper realistic, I probably wouldn't like it, because it's going to have all these things like heavy modeling, which I don't like. It's going to have really, really red skin, which I don't really like that either. And it's probably going to have heavy veining and heavy creasing. I don't like heavy enhancements. They don't look natural to me. And I want my baby's enhancements to look like they're supposed to be that way. One thing I'm going to do is tip her nails, but I'll do it after I apply the blush. This layer, I'm just getting the nails right. But after she bakes, I'll put the red blush on her, and then after I blow her dry a little bit, and she gets to this stage, I'll be tipping her nails. And I'm not going to give her a blemish because, like I said, I already have several dolls that have little baby scratches, and I don't want to make it too the same. I need to learn how to do a different one, like maybe a birthmark or a mole or baby acne or something like that. I just don't like putting polka dots on my doll. That's what it looks like to me. Maybe I'm too critical, but baby acne looks like white freckles. People just don't do it correctly. It just looks like they freckled their doll up, and it's in their white. And then they do that blister on their lip, which looks awful to me. Not every baby has a blister either. You don't have to make a blister on their lip where they've been sucking on the bottle too hard or something. I don't know what makes it. I never had a baby. I never babysat a baby. I never saw a baby with a blister on their lip. Never. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying it's not that common. So if you make 15 dolls and they all have milk blisters, well, then people are going to say, well, all her dolls have milk blisters, you know. And it's not all that attractive to me. Yes, it does lend a certain amount of realism to the doll if you're wanting that. But I'm not after that much realism. I'm after a pretty baby. And it's not pretty. Anyway, that's her nails and her lips. And she's ready for her bake now. So when we come back, she's going to be getting her final blush stage and her nails tipped. So we'll be back. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and happy reborning.